Good afternoon, this is Rachel with Infused Meadow, and today I need to make beans. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let you know up front, this video will be edited because this takes hours, and before the beans are done, I'll be making cornbread, so the edit will come in there, only because I'll stop the video for beans to make cornbread. And then I'll jump back to beans, and then I'll edit the other end of the bean video with the beginning of the bean video. But that will be the only editing that will be done. I just wanted you to know that. Okay, so for beans, if you wanted to make the equivalent of 1 can of beans from the store, one 15-ounce can, you're going to need 3/4 cup of dried beans. Now, I've done the equivalent of 4 cans, okay? And I'm doing that because some of these beans will be for dinner, and the rest of them I'm going to fry them up. And then I'm going to make some tortillas so that I can then put the refried beans in the tortillas, and then I'm going to put those into the freezer so that if we want something on a night where, I don't know, a whole lot's going on, I can't cook dinner, we can grab some bean burritos straight out of the freezer and then just throw them in the oven or in the microwave to heat them up. Well, lay them out, probably the night before if we know we're going to be really busy that next day. But this will be something quick and easy that I can put into our freezer that we can then eat later on. So what I've done is, like I said, I did the equivalent of 4 cans, and then I put water in here. Now, to my water, I added 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. And the baking soda it helps to, basically, it will help you to remove some of the gases that come off of beans. Okay? It will also help if you have beans that are old, that, may not fully expand when you're cooking them. There's a couple other benefits to the baking soda, but it's just something that I've done for a while. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my pot out, and I'm going to put some water in it, and then I'm going to bring you right back. What I'm going to do now, I've got some water in a pot. I filled it about halfway full, and I'm going to take these over to the sink. I'm going to drain them, and I'm going to rinse them off, and then I'm going to put them in that, and I'm going to get my heat turned on. So we'll be back. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my heat to medium. Kind of not a medium low, but headed that way, okay? So I've got my water on. I'm going to go ahead. My beans have been rinsed, and I'm going to put these in the water. And what I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of lard. Now, if you have bacon grease, go ahead and use your bacon grease. Basically, you have bacon grease. It's not much off from lard. It's got a lot more flavor in it, and that's great. But I've told you all before where I'm at, I can't really get good bacon. The bacon does not make any kind of grease, and so that's the problem I run into. But it's lard. It's still from the same animal, and this is what I used. If you watch the video where I made the corn dogs, it's from the same container. So it'll have a little bit of flavor in it, not much. Alright, I don't salt mine right now. All we're doing right now is we're going to get our heat going, and then these are going to cook for the next 3.5 to 4 hours. What you want to do is you're going to keep an eye on them. Obviously, the lard will melt, and then oil will sit on the top. That's what it does. But it's going to add just a little bit of flavor. Not much, but a little, because I have used it to deep frying with the corn dogs. And then when I add my salt and stuff, it will actually come in handy. If you use bacon grease, you'll get that nice flavor from the bacon into this. And if you don't want to do either of those, if you're in the U.S., I always get the name wrong. The back fat that you can buy at the store, it's salted and cured. You can add that. Just get you a nice big chunk of that, and that will give you some natural oil into your liquid. into your beans, and it'll also give you a little bit of natural salt from that. I always get it wrong. It's either fat back or back fat. But where I'm at, I can buy that, but it is not salt cured at all. And so there's no point in putting that into this. Not to mention, it probably doesn't make grease either. So this is what I do to get around that. And if that's what you have lard, you can do the exact same thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to cook these. These are going to cook for at least an hour before I go ahead and I will start throwing in some onion, and I'll be adding a little bit of salt because I don't want these at a hard boil. These are only going to simmer for the next 4.5 to 3 hours. Now you're going to watch your water reduce, your liquid. And I do throw in about a handful of the red kidney beans because that helps deepen the color and the flavor of my broth. Not a lot, just enough. So, like I was saying, you're going to keep an eye on these. You give them a stir from time to time. And as that liquid reduces, you're going to keep topping that up. Now, you don't need to go all the way at the top of your pot. But, you know, about halfway, you want a good inch to about 1.25 inches of liquid over those beans. Because these are still going to expand just a little bit more as they're cooking. Now, because I've had them soaking for the last 4 hours, that right there has helped them to go ahead and get, you know, a jump start on that expansion. But they will expand just a little bit more as they're cooking. And now you understand why I said this video will be edited, because this is a 3.5 to 4 hour video. Or, sorry, I won't make it that long of a video, but 3.5 to 4 hour cook time for me. So, I will definitely edit that. For right now, I will pause, because this can stay paused for at least the next hour while these start to come up. Once they hit a simmer, I'll bring you back and show you what I'm talking about for my simmer. And then I will bring you back so you can see roughly, I'm going to add 1 entire onion to this. I have a white onion, which is what I prefer, but you can use yellow. I'm going to drop that whole, I think it's a medium. Let me get that, hang on. So it's about baseball size, maybe a little bit bigger, but not by much. Not a softball size, because that's like my entire hand has to be opened up for a softball. So we'll say a medium large, but not quite large. And I'm going to cut this entire thing up, and I'll be putting it in that for some extra flavor. Now you don't have to add the onion if you don't want to. I like it because it does add that extra flavor to your beans. And if you're going to turn around and turn these into refried beans, then you have even more flavor already in there. So you don't even have to worry about adding a little bit of onion to your refried beans because you already have some in there. And once they've cooked down, as they will with the beans, they will mash in with your refried beans. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pause this. I'll bring you back when we're at a good simmer. And yeah, from there, after I add the onions and stuff, that will probably be the second pause. After that one will probably be the edit. That's where I'll go ahead and end it, because after a couple hours, I'll make my cornbread, and then I'll jump back. So, we'll be back. So this is where we are, and this is what I want to try to maintain, is this level of simmering. It's not boiling hard or aggressive. And it's funny because it looks like it's boiling harder in the camera than it actually is. So that's interesting. It's I think what you're seeing is just the beans as they turn in there, but it's not actually creating the big bubbles across the top, if that makes any sense. Sorry for the wavering. I'm holding the camera. I didn't realize it was wavering until I looked back. So you want not a light simmer. We're going to say a medium simmer. Okay, let me see if this is any better. So you can see a little bit more here than you could right there, and you can see we're not extremely boiling over here. So I'm going to keep this right here going for the next 3.5 to 4 hours. I like a nice deep broth. The beans will be nice and soft when you eat them, and with the onion and the salt, it will all be, to me, absolutely wonderful. And my husband likes them too. So, this is where we are. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let these cook. Now, about every 20 to 25, 30 minutes, I'm going to come in here I'm going to give these a nice little stir just to make sure. This is stainless steel. Beans will stick to the bottom of this. It is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. But at the end, when you're all done, you can always take some baking soda water, bring that to a boil, and then that will, you know, after your beans and everything are out of your pot, if you have marks on your pan, you can just boil some baking soda water, and that will usually take it up. And if that doesn't, you can take a lemon or some lemon juice, rub that around the inside, and that'll get rid of the little rings that are sometimes left behind in your stainless steel pots. Alright, so back to what I was saying. We're going to let this boil, or simmer. Sorry, I apologize. We're going to let this medium simmer, and then after an hour, I will come back in here and I will cut my onion up. Now, obviously, I'll be back and forth at my pot. I'm not going to leave it just set, and you don't do that. So, because I need to keep an eye on my water level, add more when I need it, because you do not want to try to cook dry beans. That's, as in no liquid in here. That's not good. You could end up catching a fire, or you could end up burning, a pot so bad that there's no coming back from it. So never leave something unattended on your stovetop. I know a lot of you out there, you're going to already know that, but for those of you that are new, that are trying to learn, you do not leave a pot unattended. To walk away for a couple of seconds is fine, and if you walk away for even a couple of minutes, as long as it's, something like this, usually that's fine. But if you have pets or small children, I personally would not leave it unattended. You never know when, if you have pets, if they're going to get nosy and knock something over. Or like in my case, I don't have any pets in my home. So, that's me. I'm waiting for some information, and then I will know if I want to get back to having a dog. But outside that, no. And even then, my dog is not allowed in my kitchen. Alright, that's just me, and that's my home, and how I do it. We're all different, so it is what it is. And I apologize if that seems like a rant. It wasn't. Anyway, make sure you stir this. Do not leave it unattended. If you do, don't leave it unattended for long. Walking away for a couple seconds is one thing. Staying in the same room is always your best bet. I always have plenty of things to do, so even though this will be cooking, I can still do laundry. I can fold laundry. I can still clean up, sweep, vacuum, all the good things that still need to happen in the home. Alright, we'll be back. Okay, so we are almost at 1 hour. I've gone ahead and chopped up that one medium large onion that I showed you earlier. So that is going to go in. And I wanted you to see where our broth is in the beans as of right now. So 1 second, I apologize. See how nice and dark that is? So that is what happens when you use, like I said, about a handful of those red kidney beans. Love the color. And it will, excuse me, it will lighten as these continue to cook. They're initially dark, but as you continue adding your water, it will lighten a little bit. But I absolutely love the depth of color, and it doesn't add too much as far as flavor goes. Just a little, but it's still a bean. So there's that. Okay. So I will not be chopping and adding anything else to that. Got that going in there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab myself a teaspoon measure. I'm going to slide you up. And then what I like to do is start out with 2 teaspoons of salt. Now, salt doesn't matter, okay? You use what salt you have. If it's table salt, use table salt. You're still going to start with 2 teaspoons. Why? Because you're going to taste this. It's probably going to need over a tablespoon. This is a lot. So if you're making roughly this much beans and you are following along cooking these down, you will definitely need upwards of a tablespoon. It could end up with 2. It literally depends on your flavor. Sorry, some of the onions slung some liquid. So this is on your taste buds. What you're going to do is you're going to cook these. And after about, I'll say another hour, taste it. See if you have enough salt in your liquid for you and your home. If not, keep adding. Like I said, I normally, now if you're using bacon, you may not need any salt. If you're using the salted back fat in the U.S., you may not need any salt. But if you're like me and your fat of choice is lard, because that's your only option really, you will need salt. Okay, it is what it is. So what are we doing? We make do with what we have, and we make what we have work. Old school style. Not everybody had stores back in the day, and that's the glorious thing about learning to cook from scratch and being able to learn all about the different fats in your home and how to use them, and how you don't necessarily have to run to the store to buy something like back fat or bacon if you don't have it. You can use a good tablespoon of oil if you have it. You know, it's just use what you got. You just need some fat in there. All right. Okay, so this is almost at 16 minutes. This will be a little bit longer, but hopefully not much. So what I'm going to do is, this is where that edit's going to come in. Because really there's nothing else for you to see. This is going to cook down. I'm going to keep adding water to this for the next few hours. So the only edit will really be me showing you the end result. But I'm letting you know there will be an edit, okay? So, I'm going to let these cook, and then we will be back. Hopefully it'll look like a normal pause. Alright, we'll be back. Okay, so this is where the edit will be. See, I'm so good at editing, I'll tell you that. Alright, you can see that some of the fat is on the top of this. It doesn't matter. Plus, that fat's going to come in handy when I refry these. You can see we have beautiful beans. I have a nice, beautiful color. I don't know if I can... And that is the beauty of the few little red kidney beans that I put in here. It gives us a really nice, really dark, beautiful, in my opinion, beef, or not beef, goodness, bean broth. And so, I think like I said in the other video, this is our dinner. We're going to have some beans with some cornbread. Now, a traditional southern home that I grew up in, and any of the ones I ever visited, you would have pinto beans, cornbread, fried potatoes, and macaroni and cheese. Now, unfortunately, that's not what I'm making, because it's just me and my husband, and there is no sense in doing that. And the next time I do fry some potatoes, I will definitely do a video on that, because I do fry potatoes from time to time. Macaroni and cheese is not something I've made in a while, and I do explain that in another video. It's a cheese problem thing for me, but we'll get to that eventually, okay? We'll get there. Alright, and then usually on the table you'll see some green onions. They've been trimmed up and set in the middle, because a lot of people like beans, potatoes, with a bite, you know, of green onion with it. And so that's what you'd call a traditional southern, or at least Tennessee dish, or dinner, sorry, not a dish, a dinner. And yeah, that's what it is. And it's very filling, and then whatever's left, you know, you have leftovers the next night. What I'm doing though is we will have leftover beans and cornbread tomorrow night, but the reason I made such a large pot is because what I have left after tomorrow night, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to fry those. I'm going to make some refried beans, and I'm going to make some homemade tortillas, and I'm going to put us together I'll sprinkle some cheese in there, because you can freeze cheese. So just so you know that, if you find cheese on sale, you can bring it home, buy it up, bring it home, freeze it. But I'll be putting that in there and making us basically a cheesy bean burritos for the freezer. So that way, if we know we're going to have a busy day, we just pull that out the night before, put it in the refrigerator, let that thaw. And then the next night I can pop those in the oven, or even on a skillet and let them fry a little bit. Or, you know, worst case, throw it in the microwave. And then that gives us a quick dinner that we can do. Eventually, I'm going to make some hamburgers for the freezer, so that's another quick meal. And I've shown you all how to do all those, you know, pre-made. You put everything together in a bag or jar, and that's also considered a quick meal. But anyway, on the beans, like I said, it's absolutely beautiful. It tastes delicious. I only ended up needing a tablespoon of salt, and that was all I needed. Plus the liquid. I think I filled this. I ended up topping the water off 4 times. So that's not bad for 4.5 hours worth. 4 hours, 15 minutes worth of cooking. But I have a nice soft bean, a beautiful broth, and this will make fantastic refried beans. And it'll make a fantastic dinner. Alright, I'm going to put this one with the other video so that it's one video long. I hope that this helps in some way, shape, or form. I hope you make these and that you love them. You do not have to add the red kidney beans if you don't want to. I do that because it adds a beautiful, darker color to my broth. And that's what I like. You don't have to do that. If you don't do that, your broth, you know, if you cook these as long as I have those, it'll still be nice and beautiful. It just won't be quite as dark. So, that's fine. If you hear that, that is my phone going off. Because why not? So, yeah. That will help with that. Oh, my goodness. And these are pinto beans. Hopefully they're done, you know. Anyway, it's pinto beans with, like I said, a handful of red kidney. And this is the beautiful dark broth that I've got at the end. Hopefully you can see. I don't know why you can't. It is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely. And delicious. And you know that that's just lard. Won't hurt anything. If you threw a couple pieces of bacon in here, you'd have the exact same thing. It's not a problem. Alright. So, I'm going to get ready to put our little bowls of cornbread and this together. Plus, I need to trim up the green onion that I've got in the window. And we're going to have dinner. And I hope that these videos help. I hope that you make anything. I hope it turns out wonderful and that you love it, if not like it. And if not, then as always, I hope you find the recipe that's right for you out there somewhere. And have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day.